Here we go. Imola hosts round 11 Mad Racing League. Here's my hot lap. I did a 1:32.2. It's about half a second behind the pole sitter. Put the track map up in the top left. So the straight goes into the chicane, turns 2-3, and the fourth here. You'll notice there's black curbs on the inside. These little bumpers that can certainly pop a stiff car like the LMP2, so you got to avoid those. I really enjoy the circuit. It's got lovely oversteer rewarding moments. You want the rear to slide out and step out a little bit. It's going to get you exit speed. Here we come up to a blind left-hander. The sun was really difficult to work with in VR. Maybe I'll do a comparison video sometime, but you'll see here turns 11, 12, and 13. Really interesting, tight, technical valley that you downshift into. And then I really dislike turns 14 and 15 here. It just feels janky and awkward. You can see how stiff the LMP2 is, how it jumps around over those curves. And then the lap ends with turns 17 and 18 down here. A bit of a boot section. It's so easy to lock up and go wide. I almost missed the braking zone there, so I certainly left time on the board, but I didn't have to deal with any traffic on that lap, hence why it's my fastest. Compare that to other laps during the qualifying session, and it's a little different bit of a story. Here would be an example of a guy who just left the pits. He's trying to let other people pass, who are on flyers. He's technically being shown the blue flag. See an LMP2 cut off a GT3. Then there's contact. He tries to regain the circuit, and then meanwhile, he has to make an adjustment on his steering wheel, and he gets punted. I wonder who did the punting there. Oh no, it was me. I think this is a great example of how GT3s are instructed. Do not make a last-second decision to change your racing line like he did. And, he was to blame here. Watch it again. He's going to his left and then switches back to the right. I mean, yeah, that'll get your car wrecked. And for me, I actually lost the front on my car. They're going to be updating the LMP2s to have a different damage model. I actually set my fastest lap with this car. Now, I stopped to get a new nose, but because I had burnt off so much fuel and we can't change the fuel levels, I figured I'd just ride around with the damage. Anyway, I qualified 5th. Day is on pole. Here's the start of the race. There's only 8 LMP2s in this week's race. I'm not sure why. Maybe because the course is very technical and difficult. Heading down the straight here into the first chicane sequence. Pretty much single file. Everything's looking pretty good. And it looks like Justin has found himself in front of me. Now he's tied in the championship right now, and so I am desperately trying not to have a lap 1 incident with him. Going up towards turn 7, Tosa, oh no! My car steps out. Here we have the rear camera shot. You can see that I'm following very close, and with cold tires I kind of panic, press a little too hard, and unfortunately it spins the car, locking at the rears. You can hear that, you can see that, there's no recovery. Thankfully, I just missed tapping the wall, so there was no damage to my car, and I was able to continue, but it puts me back in 8th. Now we're on board Elliott, he's in 3rd. Heading up towards the sun. He's just going to catch a little bit too much of that inside curb. I actually really like and deliberately hit that inside curb, but if you take too much, it can spin out. Meanwhile, Justin's behind in 4th. He has to do an evasive maneuver here to avoid contact, trying to keep his nose clean and doesn't hit any walls. Great save for him. Meanwhile, first place, Day. Michael locks up. It goes into the grass, and then Miles is going to have an opportunity heading in towards the boot here. Yep, Miles takes the lead. And then behind them in 3rd place, we've got Andrew. But Andrew has a rear end moment here. Aggressive downshifts, sends too much torque to the rear. The brakes don't grab that, and so we can't slow it down. So there's Andrew up in front of me. I come swinging through. I'm in 7th now because of the previous spin out, and then unfortunately he spins out again with just those cold, dirty tires from the first incident. So there you go. After lap 1, I'm in 6th. Now we're on the other Andrew. He's in 3rd right here. Oh, you can just hear him clip that inside black curbing. I have a replay here in slow-mo. Bang, you can just see it. This car is so stiff, just hitting the stripes, the red and white stripes is enough to unsettle the car. You hit the black one, you're going off for sure. So I'm behind this battle for 3rd. We have Justin versus Ken. Here's Ken's onboard. He was really struggling with this sequence of turns down here. Once it starts to understeer, it's a scary situation, and if you don't have a feel for it, you lose so much time and confidence. This is the following lap. I've caught up to Ken because he made a mistake here last time, and on lap 4 he again makes another mistake, so I'm able to clear him and now take back 4th position. Here we have Miles and Michael battling. So this is on the same lap. Battle for 1st, heading into the boot section. Miles just slightly screws up the braking, wasn't able to get it stopped in time, but saved his lap. You could go off very dramatically there. We caught traffic around lap 6, 7. Here's an example of the tight racing for the GT3s and how we've got to find our way through it. I'm trying to chase down Justin. He's way up there. I mean, maybe that's a 7-second lead. Great sounds from the Lambo here. A bit of backfire, but what didn't slow down the rear kind of threw it in, and it spun out on him. This actually happened right in front of Michael leading the race, so he was able to avoid that. And then there you see a new livery. That's actually Cody. Cody has switched from LMP2 to GT3s. Now we're at lap 11. I'm in 4th, going through a whole bunch of GT3 traffic. You can see Justin ahead in the turquoise Finn LMP2 car. This is a mixture of pro and amateurs in the GT3 field, and I find a moment to go 3 wide on the exit of Tosa. Flashing my lights, I'm going to send it into turn 9. You get a little sequence there. It's so tough to pass people. You have to have such confidence on the GT3, but you have to respect their, you know, the space they need on the track. Here we see the BMW clip a big piece of inside curb. So I'm like, okay, well, you've made a mistake. Now I'm entitled to do a pass here. But going into this really tight braking zone, I decide to back off a little bit. I think I surprised the BMW, and then he ends up flashing his lights at me here. I'm like, well, did I do him wrong here? Well, I was safe and responsible. I kind of held up. He's in a big car. He saw right over the top of mine like an SUV. I don't think I was in the wrong there. So lap 14, I finally caught Justin. I think I had better pace. And at this point, the traffic really held him up. So that 7-second lead or so that he had, it's been reduced now. And I'm going to be able to be in striking distance pretty soon here for this battle for 3rd. Looks like he was held up a little bit there, so maybe I can make something of this by the end of the straight. I tuck in a little bit to steal some draft. I gained decently, but not enough to make a pass. He's going to get held up a little bit here by this upcoming GT3 traffic. Maybe there'll be an opportunity for me. Switching to my onboard, I had to lift a little bit because I would have ran into the back of Justin. Just staying close, getting a feel for it. I could have dove this a little harder. I was really surprised he didn't do a defensive line at all on that. Heading back up here, I mean, that ends the opportunity for lap 15, I think, because you can't send it through there. I mean, without being a super aggressive move. So moving on a little farther in lap 15 towards the end of the lap here. Turns 18. Here's that big exit for the straight. See that I'm gaining a little bit. Oh, I'm coming in. He defends that inside part of the track. So I have to swing it to the outside. But you've watched F1 at Imola over these last few years. You know how much, how difficult it is to stick it side by side through turns 2, 3, 4. A little later in lap 16. Still on board my car. You can see that he's going to be able to squeeze past this GT3, but I'm going to get held up. Just watch how he's able to sprint away. What was less than a second gap has become greater than a second. Just like that, that can happen at any point with traffic. Now on to lap 17, Justin's camera looking back. I get a great drive off the final turn. I pull out a little too soon. Oh, maybe there's a bit of a nudge. Helicopter camera. I pull out of the slipstream, but again, he's defending that inside line. The best I can do is go side by side. I'm still not quite ahead of him. Listen, I'm not trying to cause an incident with this guy, so, you know, I'm not in the championship fight with him. So I back off a little bit. So now here we go, lap 18. We're nearing the end of our fuel run. I do a little fake there. Here it is in slow-mo. Watch how close this is. Just trying to rattle him a little bit. Probably too aggressive, but yeah, there was no contact. Now with the blimp cam, finishing lap 18. Heading down, you'll see a great drive. I'm like, ah! I tried to chance it on the inside with that traffic coming out of the pit lane. Thought maybe I could squeeze through a half-open door, but no, Justin stopped that. So you might have noticed his livery's changed. He didn't change that during the race. You see them check there for damage after that 0x contact. He changed. I'm recording this over a couple days, so he's changed his livery since then, and so this is like the live version of that. Anyway. Coming down here, the fuel alarm's on. I had about one more lap's worth of fuel, but I decided to pit. Maybe I could have put back-to-back slipstreams on those GT3 traffics and made something of it. So here we go, lap 20. I'm in fourth. I'm out of the pits, and I actually cut the course there. Not on the outside, on the inside, and I had to do a slowdown. Here it is in slow-mo. That was a penalty of 1 second that I had to yield. And so anyway, the next lap, Justin pits. Where am I when he exits the pits? I'm just beginning to enter the straight. So in between that mistake, I took on a little too much fuel, and I got held up in a bit more traffic on my 2 laps since he pitted. He ends up getting an 8-second lead on me. Here we go, lap 23. Miles got the under on Michael exiting the pits. Miles pitted the lap before, so he's able to protect his lead. Very classy for him. Now, Day would have a couple opportunities. This would be one of them. Maybe he could have sent it there. I mean, we've got about 5 laps left of this race. Tires are already pushed to their max. The next chance came at lap 27. See Miles super duper respecting the GT3 traffic, and good on Michael for not being aggressive and squeezing his car through there. So lap 29, this is the end of the race. Miles goes up on Justin by a couple points, and Michael and I are separated by 2.